Welcome to Cinematic Recaps. This movie is called Memoir of a Murderer. This movie is not your standard twisted ending movie. It is filled with twists and turns that will leave you questioning yourself. The movie is about Byung-soo, who in his past was a serial killer. He now suffers from Alzheimer's. He lives with his adult daughter Eun-hee. One day, he remembers that a man he got into a car accident with is also a serial killer. That man is Min Tae-ju, who begins to date Byung-soo's daughter. To protect his daughter, Byung-soo struggles to retain his memory and separate truth from fiction as he tries to find out who committed the recent murders. Sit back and enjoy to see what happens. And don't miss the ending. Byung-soo was a serial killer. He has secret memoir recounting his killings, stating he killed them because they deserved to die for their own atrocities. His first victim was his father, who was abusing the rest of his family. He explains that he buried his victims in some bamboo woods. His last victim was an unknown woman. After killing the woman, he got into a car accident and injured his head, resulting in degenerative Alzheimer's disease. He stopped killing, resumed his job as a veterinarian, and continued taking care of his daughter Eun-hee. Byung-soo, now a veterinarian, lives with his teenage daughter Eun-hee, who cares for him and records his activities in a tape recorder for him to remember them. The former serial killer goes to poetry class, where everyone praises his poems on the murders. However, when he threatens to kill them, they don't take him seriously. A woman, Jo Yeon-ju, from the class develops a crush on him, irritating him. He does his best to drive her away, but like the rest of the poetry group, she always thinks his threats are jokes from his poems. Byung-soo is also unlikely friends with a policeman Byung-man. There is a new series of killings and Byung-soo wonders if he has started killing again. Byung-soo has a rear-ender accident with someone and there is unexplained blood at the scene. He sneaks some of it away as the other driver gets out. The driver says he hit a deer, but Byung-soo thinks he has found the psychopath killer. He follows the man and discovers a woman's body and reports it to the police. Byung-soo also gives the police a sample of blood. Despite his own findings that the blood was human blood, the police state that it was deer blood. The man is revealed to be a local policeman Tae-ju, who starts dating Eun-hee, meeting her while searching for Byung-soo. He forbids her from seeing the young cop. To protect Eun-hee, he fights to keep his memory and he plans to kill Tae-ju. However, it becomes apparent that his memories may not be as reliable as he expects them to be after attacking Eun-hee, mistaking her for the woman who was his last victim. Byung-soo's fears are apparently confirmed when he finds himself restrained to a wall, with Tae-ju hacking into his memoir. Byung-soo attempts to reach his tape recorder to record Tae-ju's conversation, but apparently fails, barely managing to grab it and drops it. Tae-ju reveals he swapped the blood sample with deer blood, and threatens to kill Eun-hee unless Byung-soo takes the blame for Tae-ju's crimes. Byung-soo then wakes up, with no memory of what happened, and the entire incident is assumed to be a dream. Byung-soo orders Eun-hee to go with his sister in a taxi and sends them off. He follows Tae-ju at night and finds footage of Yeon-ju being held hostage. When he presents this evidence to the police, they suspect Byung-soo himself is responsible. He later learns his memories have also made him delusional, as his sister had committed suicide after he killed their father. This proves he didn't send Eun-hee away with her aunt, and comes to think his daughter was killed by him instead. Byung-soo gives up with his suspicions, and thinks he was actually responsible for Tae-ju's murders, especially when he remembers his annoyance and threats toward Yeon-jo. The police discover the bodies buried by Byung-soo in the woods. Byung-soo remembers who his last victim was, his wife, whom he killed after discovering she was having an affair with another man. At this moment he learns that Eun-hee is not his biological daughter. After injuring his head in the car accident, he arrives home in a rage. Byung-soo prepares to strangle a toddler Eun-hee, but his head injury causes his memory loss to kick in for the first time. When the pain goes away, he doesn't remember his wife's affair, instead comforting a frightened Eun-hee. Back in the present and filled with guilt, Byung-soo prepares to kill himself as he listens to the remaining recordings of Eun-hee on his tape recorder. However, he stops when another recording of Tae-ju confessing his crimes plays. Byung-soo actually recorded Tae-ju's confession and threats to his daughter when he reached for the device. He realizes that he sent Eun-hee into a taxi with Tae-ju as the driver. As Byung-man prepares a search for Byung-soo, he receives a call from the latter. He says that Tae-ju is his daughter and plays the recording of Tae-ju's threats to the policeman, convincing him of the truth. The two work together to find Tae-ju, and Byung-man follows him to a cabin in the woods. Byung-man hides in the cabin and sees that Tae-ju has kidnapped Eun-hee, but Tae-ju kills the policeman as he prepares to apprehend him. As Byung-soo arrives to the location, he records that he must save Eun-hee, and replaces her picture with Tae-ju's in a locket she gave to him to remember that he is a killer. As Tae-ju is outside, Byung-soo hides Eun-hee and Tae-ju attacks him. With his head injured again, Byung-soo goes into a near-vegetative state, and he unwittingly leads Tae-ju to Eun-hee's hiding spot. As Tae-ju approaches Eun-hee, he reveals the truth of her father being a serial killer, and that he has to pay the price for his sins. Byung-soo's memory restores and he manages to fight back before Tae-ju can kill her. Tae-ju appears to gain the upper hand, but Byung-soo chokes him at the last minute and rolls on top of him, using the same technique he did to kill his previous victims. Tae-ju stabs him with a broken vase, but Byung-soo persists. Finally resigning to his fate, the choking Tae-ju says that he himself will have to be punished. Byung-soo takes the broken vase and stabs him to death. Eun-hee is now horrified by Byung-soo, now knowing the truth about her father. However, he tells her that she is not the daughter of a murderer because of his wife's affair. Byung-soo is later arrested. Eun-hee listens to Byung-soo's latest recording about the need to find her and that she is the only reason why he is still alive. When she visits Byung-soo, his Alzheimer's disease is at its worst, and he thinks he is a kid and Eun-hee is his dead sister. In the final scene, Byung-soo is released from prison, walking on a desolate railroad. When he looks at Tae-ju's picture, which is still on his daughter's locket, his perceptions take a turn for the worst. His Alzheimer's disease kicks in again, and he records, "Never trust your memory." Tae-ju is still alive. Because many of his memories were unreliable before, he is suspicious of the memory of killing Tae-ju. There is also an alternate version of the movie. The director's cut of the film features an alternate ending, which fundamentally changes the pathos of the film. It includes 10 more minutes of footage where in the final scene, Byung-soo is released from prison, walking on a desolate railroad. Suddenly his symptoms triggers again, his face twitches, and he starts wearing his shoes in the wrong order. He also begins to recollect his memories in a seemingly odd sequence, such as him being the culprit of all the recent murders. Tae-ju was actually the one to hit his car, and he has been drowned under the nearby reservoir. While the voice of the investigator can be heard, the memories of those who are losing it tend to protect themselves first. At the end of the sequence, Byung-soo stares into the camera and smirks, thinking to himself, "Never trust your memory." Comment which ending you like the most, which ending made most sense to you. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for daily updates of movie recaps like this. Thanks for watching.